Hi everyone, this is Sean Chua. Welcome to this MCQ introductory set. Let's take a look at the discussion. Now in question 1, we'll be looking at an atomic structure and ions question. All right, and then let's take a look. Hydrogen can form both hydrogen ion H plus and hydrogen ion H minus. Which statement about these two ions is correct? Now, if you take a look, all 4 options is talking about the number of electrons or the protons and how it's being formed from a hydrogen atom. So it's really, really good to take a look at how they are being formed from the atom itself, these two ions, all right? So let me use 3 color and then we discuss, okay? Or maybe 2 colors is good enough. So how do we get an hydrogen ion, which we are more familiar with? Now, an hydrogen atom, all right, or hydrogen ion is obtained, all right, also transformed from an hydrogen atom. And hydrogen atom has a proton number of 1 and a mass number of 1, all right? So it will then become a hydrogen ion, which looks like this, H plus ion. So your job is to find the subatomic particles, the number of them inside each species. So proton number 1 means there is 1 proton. An atom is electrically neutral, so you will have equal number of protons, electron, which is 1. And the mass number, which is the number on top, all right, is 1. You take this number minus this will give you the number of neutrons. So it's 1 minus 1 equals to 0n. Number of neutron is 0 for a hydrogen atom. So what happened when your hydrogen atom become hydrogen ion, your H plus ion, is when you remove 1 electron. So with that, your proton will stay the same. Your electron will be 1 minus 1. Therefore, it becomes 0. And neutrons continue to be 0. Okay, so this is how you get your hydrogen ion. Next, we take a look at how we get a hydride ion. Now, hydride is usually not so common. So you need to be very careful. But we still get it from a hydrogen atom. So let me write this out. So you have H minus ion. We're going to treat it the same way. All right. So again, hydrogen atom, we discussed this 1p, 1e, all right, and 0n. Then what happened? To become a negative ion, you must take in electron. 1 minus means you take in 1 electron. So here we go. You have 1 protons. 1 plus 1, you have 2 electrons right now. And neutron still 0. All right, still 0. So with that, let's answer the question. And what they want is a correct statement. So I will look at this together with you. Okay, so here we go. A hydrogen ion, option A, has 2 electrons in its first shell. Is that true? Right? Is that true? A hydrogen ion, meaning a H plus ion, has 2 electrons in its first shell. No, they have 0 electrons. So this is wrong. This is 0. Okay, this is wrong. So A is wrong. And then let's take a look at other options. B, a hydrogen ion has more protons than hydride ions. Protons. So let's take a look. Hydrogen 1p versus hydrogen ion 1p is the same number. So it has same number of protons, not more. Again, B is wrong. What about C? A hydride ion has 1 more electron than a hydrogen ion. Is that true? A hydride ion, let's take a look here. A hydride ion, which is this, has 1 more electron. So 2 electron, more than a hydrogen ion, which is 0. Correct? So 2 minus 0 is not 1 more, it's 2 more. So this is also wrong. So by right, you already know the answer is D. But I always tell my students for MCQ, we aim for full marks. We want to be careful. Sometimes we're a bit careless, and that's where it gets us into trouble. So you need to go through all options. So I would like you to go through option D and make sure this is the correct answer. A hydride ion is formed when a hydrogen atom gains an electron. I think that looks good, right? So a hydride ion, which is here, is formed when a hydrogen atom takes in 1 electron, gains an electron. I think this is perfect. All right. So this is the answer. So question 1, answer is D. And we'll move into question 2. Now, in question 2 is another question on atomic structure, and this time around we're going to play with isotopes, a very, very important concept in this topic of atomic structure and ions, and this is a very tricky question if you ask me, okay? So if you take a look, we have what we call an element T, which obviously exists as an atom, and it has 19 protons and 20 neutrons, all right? So we can actually write out what is T already. T atom, all right? This element exists as an atom. It has 19 protons. Because electrically neutral, we know it has 19 electrons, and stated here 20 neutrons. So we know atom T, all right, or element T. Now, next they ask us to gives us the row that have the possible correct number of protons, neutrons, and electrons in a positive ion of an isotope of T. So there are two things here you need to be very careful. Number one is an isotope of T. So you need to first understand your definition of an isotope, right? Which I'm going to write it here as a recap for you. And isotopes, I break it into three points. It refers to the atoms of the same element, all right? So let me write down atoms of the same element with the same number of protons, but different number of neutrons. And this is the formal definition of an isotope. So it must be what? All right, let's take a look. So we are looking eventually at a positive ion of isotope of T, not an atom of T, or rather an atom of an isotope of T. We are looking at a positive ion. So what do we understand about positive ion? We know that for a positive ion, all right, so I'm going to write here in red, for a positive ion, initially when it's an atom, the number of electrons and protons is the same, is electrically neutral. To form a positive ion, 1 plus charge or 2 plus charge or 3 plus charge, it must have given electrons away, such that right now the number of protons must be more than the number of electrons, all right, for a positive ion. All right, now, so as I mentioned, what do you do, all right, when you get a positive ion is when you remove electron or electrons. All right, when you remove electron or electrons, depending how many we removed. All right, shows the protons more than electrons. So what? So over here, if you take a look, we're going to look at this thing known as the number of protons first. Because for an isotope, the number of protons will not change. It must be fixed. All right. So no matter what ion you have become. All right. So for this in green, it has 19 protons for element of T. The isotope will also have 19 protons. All right. With that, I am sure, I'm very, very sure that C and D are the incorrect answer. I'm going to cross it. We only have A and B. A and B. And then we investigate further. Let's go. So here we go. Then, being an isotope, it must have the different number of neutrons. So the neutron over here in the element T is 20 neutrons. So right now, your neutrons cannot be 20. It must be 21. Okay, which again doesn't get us to solve it. We are still at A or B. Okay, so we still need one more step, which I believe is the one in red, whereby the number of protons, all right, number of protons must be more than the number of electrons. So which one you have proton more than electron? I think the answer is B. The number of protons is more than number of electrons. This is bigger, as you can see. Right? This value is bigger than this value. Whereas the other one is opposite. The proton is smaller than that. All right? With that, ladies and gentlemen, the answer is